In the 8th century, a new dynasty emerged, seizing control of one of the world's greatest empires, the Islamic Caliphate. Though often overlooked in the West today, this caliphate ruled for 5 centuries, presiding over a period marked by Islamic military dominance, urban development, remarkable scholarship, and significant technological innovation. This era is now referred to as Islam's Golden Age, particularly associated with the Abbasid Caliphate. Following the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632 AD in Medina, his followers, adherents of the nascent religion of Islam, unified the Arabian Peninsula under the leadership of Abu Bakr, the first caliph. They soon expanded beyond Arabia, confronting the weakened Eastern Roman and Sassanid empires, both ravaged by years of conflict. By 651, Muslim forces had successfully conquered 2/3 of the Eastern Roman Empire and nearly all of the Sassanid Empire. In 656, the assassination of the third caliph ignited the first Muslim civil war. Ali, the cousin and son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, garnered popular support but faced opposition from the governor of Syria, who was a relative of the slain caliph. The ensuing conflict lasted 5 years and concluded with Ali's assassination in Kufa. His rival, Muawiyah, emerged victorious and established the Umayyad Caliphate, further expanding the empire. However, internal strife persisted, notably from Hussein, Ali's son and Prophet Muhammad's grandson, who challenged Muawiyah's successor, Yazid. In 680, Hussein and his followers were defeated at the Battle of Karbala. The supporters of Ali and his descendants later became known as Shiites, who annually commemorate Hussein's martyrdom on the day of Ashura. The expansive Umayyad Caliphate continued to grow, yet it faced significant internal divisions. Much of the information about the Umayyad dynasty comes from later sources that are often critical of its leadership. It is evident that the small Arab Muslim elite, which dominated this vast empire. Some groups were treated as an underclass and subjected to additional taxation. Even converts to Islam, known as Mawali, were frequently regarded as second-class citizens. Decades of discontent among these groups were nearing a breaking point. The Umayyad authority was symbolized by their white banner, but in 747, a new banner, the black banner of the Abbasids, emerged to challenge their rule. The Abbasids, an Arab family descended from the Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abbas, claimed a legitimate right to the title of caliph based on this familial connection, presenting themselves as a pure representation of Islamic leadership compared to the Umayyads, whom they depicted as decadent. The Abbasids promised to return to the true principles of Islam and sought to correct moral and doctrinal issues. They dispatched missionaries and agents throughout the caliphate to promote their message. In 747, amidst renewed revolts and civil strife within the caliphate, the Abbasids seized the opportunity to rise. In eastern Khorasan, a general named Abu Muslim, likely a Persian convert, initiated a revolt and adopted the black banner of the Hashemites as his emblem. The Hashemites, descendants of Prophet Muhammad's family, were prominent among the Abbasids. This frontier region, now part of northeastern Iran and portions of Turkmenistan and Afghanistan, was particularly fertile for rebellion, with Arabs and non-Arab converts living and fighting side by side against common threats. Many viewed the Umayyads as distant and unpopular rulers. Additionally, Hashemite agents and missionaries had long fostered dissent, aiming to replace the Umayyads with their own leadership. When Abu Muslim began his uprising, he quickly garnered support from Arabs, Persians, and Central Asians, many of whom were seasoned warriors. His military acumen led to a series of victories against Umayyad forces, culminating in the capture of Kufa, the capital of Iraq, in 749. The Abbasids then took command of the revolutionary movement, and the following year, their forces confronted the army of Umayyad Caliph Marwan II at the Zab River. Most of the available information regarding the subsequent battle derives from Abbasid sources. Caliph Marwan II is described as a courageous yet reckless commander, who launched a direct cavalry charge against the Abbasids. Historians recount that his troops, inspired by recent victories, formed spear walls that successfully repelled the cavalry attack, resulting in a disastrous defeat for the Umayyads. The morale of Marwan's forces collapsed, and he fled the battlefield, only to be pursued and killed in Egypt. Other Umayyad leaders were similarly hunted down and exterminated, with their graves desecrated. The sole surviving member of the dynasty, Abd al-Rahman, escaped to Spain, where he established the Emirate of Córdoba, a second Umayyad dynasty that would thrive in Iberia for centuries. Meanwhile, Abu al-Abbas al-Safa became the first Abbasid Caliph. However, it would take time for the Abbasids to solidify their power. Al-Safa moved the Caliphate's residence from Harun to Kufa, which was closer to their power base in Persia. In 751, he dispatched an army to counter the westward expansion of the Chinese Tang dynasty, achieving a significant victory at the Battle of Talas. This battle, however, marked the limit of the Caliphate's eastern expansion. Many who had participated in the overthrow of the Umayyads sought to end hereditary rule and return to a system of caliphs elected from an elite group, but their hopes were unmet. In 754, al-Safa was succeeded by his brother al-Mansur, who would become one of the dynasty's most notable rulers. His reign began ominously with the execution of the esteemed and popular general Abu Muslim, who was seen as a potential rival. Al-Mansur faced rebellions from the Alids, a powerful clan descended from Ali, the Prophet's son-in-law, who resented the growing dynastic power of the Abbasids and contested their claims to leadership. He suppressed the last major Alid revolt in 762, ushering in an era of stability, prosperity, and peace. That year, he commissioned the construction of a new capital on the banks of the Tigris River, officially named Medina as-Salam, meaning City of Peace. This city would become one of the great achievements of the medieval world, Baghdad. Under the rule of al-Mansur's grandson, Harun al-Rashid, the caliphate reached unprecedented heights. Baghdad became the heart of a flourishing Islamic civilization that welcomed new ideas from both the East and West. Confident Muslims transformed these ideas into a distinctly Islamic form, leading to advancements in art, architecture, astronomy, chemistry, mathematics, medicine, music, philosophy, and ethics. The process of fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, was profoundly shaped by the historical context of the time. Harun al-Rashid, the son of al-Mansur, ascended the throne at the young age of 22 in 786. He immediately confronted both internal revolts and external invasions. Regional uprisings in Africa were quelled, tribal revolts in Egypt were contained, and sectarian conflicts with the Alavis were managed. The Byzantines were kept at bay and compelled to pay tribute. Over his 23 years of rule, Harun governed an empire that stretched across a vast region from China to the Atlantic Ocean, facilitating the free flow of people, materials, and ideas across continents. However, he is remembered not solely for his empire building, but for fostering a brilliant civilization that left a lasting legacy. The Golden Age of Islam was defined not by the empire's wealth or tales of luxury, but by its profound contributions to human thought and its intellectual advancements. As the Islamic Empire expanded, it encountered a wealth of ideas from classical Greek, Indian, Zoroastrian, Buddhist, and Hindu civilizations. The process of translation and the assimilation of these global ideas began during the reign of al-Mansur and accelerated significantly under Harun al-Rashid and his successor, al-Ma'mun. Harun established the Beit al-Hikmah, House of Wisdom, a center for translation and scholarship, and surrounded himself with exceptional advisors known as the Barmakids. His court included prominent figures in various fields: jurisprudence, poetry, music, logic, mathematics, and science. Among them was Ibn Hayyan, who was credited with founding chemistry. Scholars from diverse backgrounds, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Zoroastrians, and Hindus, worked collaboratively to translate significant works from various cultures. From Greece, texts by Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, Galen, and others were introduced. Indian scholars brought mathematical concepts such as zero and Ayurvedic medicine, while Chinese innovations in alchemy, paper, and silk made their way to the Islamic world. Zoroastrian contributions included advancements in administration and agriculture. This cross-cultural exchange enabled the Muslims to develop fields such as algebra, chemistry, and sociology. The confidence of Muslims in engaging with other civilizations stemmed from their faith. Grounded in revelation, they absorbed valid ideas and transformed them within the framework of their beliefs. The Quran encourages reflection on nature and understanding its patterns, emphasizing a holistic approach to knowledge. This era saw the emergence of the Hakim, or wise person, who integrated knowledge into a unified understanding of creation, recognizing the interconnections that reflect divine wisdom. Al-Ma'mun, following in his father's footsteps, was a scholar in his own right. He actively sought classical texts and scholars from Constantinople, India, and China, offering incentives for translations. The intellectual achievements of this period were exemplified by prominent figures such as the philosopher al-Kindi and the mathematician al-Khwarizmi. Al-Khwarizmi, known for introducing the concept of algorithms and the term algebra, significantly advanced mathematics and geography during his time. The intellectual explosion of the Harun and Ma'mun era propelled science to the forefront of knowledge, establishing Islamic civilization as a beacon of learning for 5 centuries. The translation efforts in Baghdad laid the groundwork for the works of later scholars, including the physician al-Razi, the historian al-Masudi, and the mathematician Omar Khayyam. However, this period was also marked by contradictions. Muslims took pride in their intellectual achievements, yet many rejected the values underpinning those accomplishments. While celebrating their scientists and philosophers, they often distanced themselves from the rational foundations of their work. The era was characterized by a strong embrace of reason, particularly by al-Ma'mun, who adopted the doctrines of the Mu'tazilites, rationalist thinkers within Islam. Despite their intellectual contributions, the Mu'tazilites overreached by applying their rational methods to divine concepts, resulting in the controversial doctrine of the createdness of the Quran. This hierarchical view placed human reason above revelation, leading to significant tensions. In response to opposition, particularly from scholars like Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the Mu'tazilite doctrine faced repudiation under Caliph al-Mutawakkil, who reinstated traditional views and persecuted rationalists. The subsequent rejection of rationalist thought led to the rise of Asharite scholars, who attempted to reconcile rational and transcendental approaches. Their ideas gained acceptance within Islamic thought and continued to influence Muslim perspectives today. However, the earlier intellectual contributions of the rationalists were largely disregarded, eventually migrating to the Latin West, where they contributed to the foundations of modern civilization. The historical lessons of the Harun and Ma'mun era highlight the necessity of reintegrating philosophy and science within the framework of Islamic civilization, grounded in the principle of Tawhid, the oneness of God. A new hierarchy of knowledge is required, preserving the transcendence of revelation while respecting human reason and free will. While the Mu'tazilites recognized humanity's role in shaping its destiny, they erred by overstating the primacy of reason over divine revelation. Ultimately, human efforts occur within the context of divine grace, where the outcomes of actions remain uncertain, subject to divine intervention. Thus, the interplay of reason, faith, and the pursuit of knowledge during this golden age remains a complex and vital chapter in Islamic history.